Yeah, simple start with the QB position. See that number 12 guy? Yeah, you don't have that guy anymore. So,
I don't. Yeah,
uh,
it's the only jerseys I have. So
so we can we're gonna loop back to that and what your situation is with that running back position. Now, this is a big area because obviously you have James White, who's a very strong receiving back. Sony Michel, who had a terrible, well, not terrible, but pretty rough sophomore season. And especially in the middle, towards the end of the season, into the end of the season, like, you guys had minimal passing game and minimal running game, which is why I'm inclined to say, well, as of now, going in, obviously this will change going into the draft because I feel like the Bills are going to draft a running back, but this could change. But for now, I mean, I'm a little bit worried for your running game. Can you speak to that? You know, what you're thinking about your running game, especially because of how weak it was towards the end of the year.
yeah, obviously we relied mostly on the pass, especially against. We did not face that many good teams going into this last season. Obviously, having an 11-5 record, but 2-2 against teams that were 500 and above. And with the rumors of us trading Joe Tooney, I think we're just going to try and rebuild the offensive line and probably get some wide receiving help. Because I think everything else, I think it's going to be fine. For the running backs, I think we're going to keep them. I think we're just going to see. We're going to ride it out this next year because we know next year is going to be not what usually the Patriots do. Like, they're just going to ride out with Stidham because obviously he sat behind Brady. But I think that they're just going to get some offensive line help for that because especially if they're trading Tooney, they're probably going to get a bunch of draft picks. He's a stud, probably one of the best guards in the league. So it's good to see what Belichick and Kraft do, but that's still up in the air. It's a huge question mark.
Yeah. I mean, if I were you guys, I would probably ride it out with the running backs too, just because it seems like there's bigger needs. Do you think there's any chance that you guys go quarterback, top 3 rounds maybe? Or what are you going to do in free agency? Or do you think Stidham and Hoyer are the guys?
I did make a post about it, and also there's 2 quarterbacks on my mind. One that the Patriots are actually interested in is FIU quarterback James Morgan.
We're interested in him too, apparently.
Yeah, everyone's interested in him because he's having an insane combine. He's having great invites with everyone that he's been with. So, and if we can grab him in the 6th round, I've seen some of his tape and his highlights. He is a very special player. He's very underrated in this draft. One player that I think, just to give Stidham some competition to help him push him to the next level, would probably be Jalen Hurts, someone who's really slipping in the draft only because of the type of season he had this past year. I think with someone like Bill Belichick, he can definitely mold both of them into being very competitive with each other and pushing each other to the limit. But those are the 2 quarterbacks I think we should go after.
Yeah, I definitely think he said that as well as anyone could. But yeah, I'm excited to see how Bill Belichick can kind of make another Brady essentially, or
I'm not.
Pass back up.
I'm excited for hopefully that to fail miserably.
Well, yeah, as a Bills fan,
champions.
There it is.
But
there it is.
I mean, yeah, I'm kind of hoping for a nice 4-12 season out of you guys.
Yeah, obviously as Bills fans,
Maybe
the last 20 years.
Yeah, literally my entire life, Brady's been around. And
yeah,
just made my.
I have a very, this is a big question for me, is your wide receiver position. Obviously, right now, we have the better wide receivers. I think there's almost no question about that, obviously. But I'm just wondering, how are you feeling about Edelman, especially after the year where he had a ton of drops? I think it was, let me go look up the stat on that, but I think he had the most wide receiver drops of all wide receivers.
Wasn't he playing with an injury? His ribs?
Yeah, he did. He was injured for most of that year. But obviously, since he was the only wide receiver we had that had a pulse and could catch the ball, we had to rely on him a lot. That's why he had a lot of drops. That's because mostly double coverage or most likely difficult routes that he's not used to, because we would have someone like Gronk or Wes Welker filled that same role when Randy Moss was there. For that, I think he's going to be fine for this year. He's going to have a lot of time to rehab this offseason, especially with this whole quarantine thing to go. And I think being a good little check down target for Stidham I think that's exactly what he needs at the wide receiver position, and gives N'Keal Harry the ability to try his best to be a number one receiver. That's what I wanted to happen, wanted to happen, last year. But obviously, Tom Brady acted like a little schoolgirl and didn't let N'Keal Harry get in the offense. So when it comes to that, it's basically up in the air. I think Edelman's a good veteran. It's the same with us signing Brian Hoyer. We don't expect him to do much, but we expect him to help steer him on his way. Same with James White, same with Sony Michel, just to give them a little more
and
help.
what you said about Julian Edelman being the veteran, do you think this is a little part of it, but like, do you think that Julian Edelman's going to get that captain position, captain job, that captain role? Because people were talking about after Brady being gone, do you think he's going to get that? I'm just wondering your opinion on that, because I feel like with Julian Edelman, knowing the team, knowing the offense, being there for so long, I think that he would fulfill a nice role as captain, help out, like you said, help out N'Keal Harry, because we saw last season how many times I saw on just TV or mic'd up moments where Brady was screaming at N'Keal Harry or some of the younger wide receivers. So, what are your opinions on that in terms of Edelman getting captain?
For that, I think he definitely will get the captain position, especially with Tom Brady gone. But of course, we've had talented people come in and out of New England before. People like Brandon Cooks, Josh Gordon, stuff like that. Obviously, those projects failed. In Bill Belichick's eyes, he didn't really want to do that. But in my opinion, I think him getting that kind of position, because he's always shown leadership, but there's always been a bigger person, because he's always went to Tom. He's always went to Gronk. He's always tried to get their help. But I think being probably the most experienced and most successful guy in that offense right now, I think it's a no-brainer to put him as the captain of the offense.
Yeah. You guys have any or other questions about wide receiver position?
No, not wide receiver.
Yeah, same. Not wide receiver.
Okay, so going to tight end quickly. You guys have no one. No one at tight end after Gronk left a pretty big hole in that position and in the offense. What do you guys see? How do you guys see fixing that? What do you think they're gonna do?
One thing I did talk about on Instagram was actually, I think Matt LaCosse is going to have a breakout year just because of the situation they're in. I think he's going to get over 1,000 yards, personally, in my opinion, because Stidham's this is his rookie year. This is his first time in the league, and having a security blanket like Julian Edelman or a security blanket like Matt LaCosse. Matt LaCosse, in a few games he played, because obviously he was injured most of the year, he was very good. He was very good at causing separation. In my opinion, I think he has a chance of being a huge playmaker in this league. But obviously it didn't work out, and because we had Nick Izzo starting at tight end, and he looked like he was 5 years old. I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but I think Matt LaCosse and Julian Edelman both being security blankets for Jared Stidham will definitely help with that.
Yeah, I think you guys also need some more depth in that position. Looking at your roster right now, you guys only have 3 tight ends, and besides Matt LaCosse, I mean, I don't even know the other 2 guys. Ryan Izzo and Jacob Johnson, who I don't know those guys, but
God,
with Matt LaCosse, I mean, he's 27 years old. I don't know. I don't think he has the young potential that most of the young tight ends do anymore, and he really just hasn't put up any production throughout his career. I would have to disagree with that. 13 receptions, 131 yards. I mean, it's not terrible, but I don't know. I just don't know something, because I don't know, because I don't pay that close attention to New England, obviously. But
with only reason I say that is because Bill Belichick has given him a lot of praise in practice, and he's definitely tried his best to get him integrated into the game plan. And obviously, him being hurt most of this year, obviously we're going to go after depth in the draft. There's obviously no question about it. We're probably going to go second or third round with that, trying to get one of the best tight ends to see if he can be the leader of that group. But I think with Matt LaCosse, he's very good at creating space. I've seen, obviously, watching the games, he's very good at creating space, and he's definitely with with a new guy like Stidham, that's the only reason I'm saying he's going to have a breakout year. I think with that, he's definitely going to be looking for the check down a lot, and I think that's going to really widen Matt Lacosse's 5-yard out and 5-yard in arsenal, and I think that's definitely it's more of like a security blanket for Stidham. Obviously, if we go after another tight end, he's probably going to jump up to the starting position, but it's Matt Lacoste is definitely someone to look out for, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the check down will be really big for an inexperienced quarterback. So I definitely think Edelman's still going to get that high production even without Brady.
I think it's okay to go on to the O-line now. I gave you guys the O-line. You guys have had a solid O-line, if not great O-line, throughout most of Brady's time there. And, as of currently with you guys still having Tooney, I would say you guys have the better O-line right now. But obviously, I think you guys are going. I think it would make the most sense if you guys were to trade him. He was in talks with the Browns. And I think Tooney. I was really hoping we could get him when before you guys tagged him, because going back to the Rams Super Bowl, he held Aaron Donald to no sacks. Not many people can hold Aaron Donald at all throughout the entire length of a game. So I think, what do you think you're going to do with Tooney? I know you spoke a little bit on that, but just to expand on that, what do you see happening with him in the coming weeks?
Yeah, I think for Joe Tooney, obviously one of my favorite linemen that we've ever had, because he's always been one of the best, most powerful players in that situation. But for that, I would definitely say that we probably are going to trade him. Obviously, with the franchise tag, it's going to make him really appealing to win now teams. Obviously, the Browns, you guys as well, if you guys get into trade talks. But for that, I think we're probably going to trade him, only because we know the draft haul we can get for him, because he's 27 years old. He's still in the middle of his prime. As I said earlier, he's still, in my opinion, one of the best guards in the league, just because of how versatile and how fast he is at that guard position. So most likely, if I had to guess, we'll probably get him for like a second or third round pick, but that's really great value for someone of a lineman if we're just having him on a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm. Anything you guys want to say about O-line? I think the main conversation is about Tooney.
Yeah, I would give them O-line. So I don't have much to say about that.
But yeah, I honestly can't wait to see what happens with Tooney. I wonder if you guys are going to make a move before the draft, or I would be ideal, I think, but you never know what's going to happen. Maybe they'll take those 2021 picks. But going over to D-line, I think we have pretty even D-lines, especially with some younger guys like Winovich there. But what do you think about that, guys? Or anyone want to voice an opinion on that? Because honestly, I'm seeing nothing. I'm seeing a pretty even D-line.
I agree.
Both teams.
Yeah,
Signing, I think we're caught up pretty much.
I think we have a lot of depth in that position on the D-line.
Yeah.
With
looks like you need
Jefferson, Mario Addison.
Yeah, signing a Vernon Butler, obviously Addison, Quentin Jefferson.
It's only showing up that you guys have one defensive tackle right now.
Yeah, that defensive tackle is Lawrence Guy. I think, personally, for me, I'd probably give you the edge only because I love Ed Oliver's potential, and what he did last season was just ridiculous for you guys on the defensive line. He was definitely a game changer.
Yeah, towards the end of the year, that's when he really picked it up.
Yeah, I think that definitely Ed Oliver has a lot of potential.
He had to earn his spot.
See how he does this year.
That's why I'm getting rid of Jordan Phillips. I honestly don't really care.
I'm not paying Jordan Phillips
our number one guy.
Because we have Harrison Phillips still coming back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
And we just signed all those guys.
And then we signed Butler. Jefferson can play tackle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that as of now, where Oliver is in the coming years, I think we will have the stronger line. But as of now, I think it's pretty even on both teams.
It is even, and if I could make another point, one position I think, or one person I think is actually really interesting. I personally think Chase Winovich is going to take a big step up this year. Obviously, he was in a reduced role because of Jamie Collins and Kyle Van Noy both being edge rushers and both doing great jobs at it. But I think since the few times Chase Winovich was, in the defense and he was very active, you could tell that he knew exactly what he was doing. Bill Belichick always put him in the right position. So I think that's also a player to look out for this season.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. He's
Okay.
underrated.
Yeah, I would. That's why I brought him up. I think he has a lot of potential as well. Going to linebackers, I would say as of now, I would give the edge to us. What do you guys think about that?
So would I.
Yeah.
Hightower is a great player. But I think Tremaine Edmonds, like those monster long arms, and literally his first year, he does not look like he's a linebacker, and he still moves quick. It just took him a year and a half or so to get used to running the whole defense, and he literally runs the defense. Second year player.
BC player. Shout out to Matt Milano.
Oh yeah,
Boston College.
Yeah, he's very Milano's a great tackler.
Yeah.
Besides getting dangled by Lamar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the one thing.
But great tackler. Besides that, that's why it was impressive.
But yeah, I can't wait to see how Tremaine Edmonds continues to grow. I mean, he had definitely an awesome campaign this year. Pro Bowl, obviously. I mean, I just can't wait to see. We definitely got the best of the Edmonds brothers. I mean, and I actually find it really funny.
It's not even close.
How, it's not even close. I find it funny their size differences. You got the Pittsburgh, what are the running backs' name? What's the running back's name?
I don't know.
But then you see, I don't know if you guys saw that NFL little, I don't know what to call it. Like little mini documentary on them, but there was a scene where they were sitting in the 3 chairs and talking, and I mean Edmonds was like foot taller than each of them. It was just so funny.
That wingspan is disgusting.
Yeah, I know, but yeah,
it's frightening.
As of now, even with Hightower, I think that we have the stronger linebackers and linebacker depth. I don't see. Yeah, I mean, you got Hightower, and then it's basically nobody's. So.
Us, I think that's definitely going to be a position we definitely
expand in
draft for. Yeah, we're definitely going to expand on that. Probably, I don't know what round we'll probably take one, but probably an early round. Probably a second round because we do have 2 second-round picks along with that first-round pick at number 23. But another person I really like is Landon Roberts because he's always been in the shadows. I think he's around 20. He's only 24 years old, but he's always been involved in the offense ever since his rookie year. And just seeing tape on him myself, I think he's actually he's going to fit very well next to Dante Hightower. But I think when it comes to pass rushers or outside linebackers that can also step in the coverage, I think definitely that's a position we definitely need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now this is probably the biggest discussion that I wanted to talk about. This is what I was looking forward to, going with a Patriots fan. Stephon Gilmore and Trey White going into the cornerbacks. I'll let John take this one away.
Yeah, so I don't know if you wanted to combine the whole secondary or not. But if you want, we could just dive into cornerbacks. If we just ignored Trey White and Gilmore right off the bat, after free agency, I think we still have more depth at the position.
Norman.
So you guys have, who's your other guy? McCourty?
We have the 2 people I think that are really good, and I think will still be really good this season. Besides, Jonathan Jones. He was part of the special teams player of the year because he was playing in slot the entire time, and he was locked down at that slot position, really defending most of those players, and especially with Stidham at the helm, he's definitely going to be looking for a very increased role, and definitely another person I want to mention is probably J.C. Jackson, someone who didn't really play that much last year, but he definitely showed flashes of being, a reliable corner, especially since he's still pretty young.
Okay.
But yeah, ignoring Trey White, going back to what John said, ignoring Trey White, we have Josh Norman, EJ Gaines, Levi Wallace. Who else? But yeah, like
and Levi Wallace has been the dependable number 2 guy. I mean, it's always going his way with Trey White, and he still seems to do great. We have probably at least a top 3 pass defense in the league, and with Josh Norman, like obviously. Do I think he's going to go back to his old self? No. But you have to remember he's with McDermott again, who he had his best years with McDermott in Carolina. I think it's going to be a lot better than that shitty situation he was in Washington.
Yeah, and
so,
also...
even if it doesn't work out, Levi Wallace is still dependable too. EJ Gaines has been our number 2 corner before. I would consider him more of a number 3 now. Taron Johnson in the slot. He's been great in the slot. I don't think he's good enough for the edge,
but yeah, the major talking point about when you're going up against corners is Stephon Gilmore and Trey White. So I think we can at this point both agree that our depth is probably better. Now it's down to Trey White and Gilmore. Now, personally, I know, well, not just personally, everyone knows Gilmore is a fantastic cornerback. He is one of the best corners in the league, up there, probably right next to Trey White. Now, I will say, I think that Trey White had better stats. He, obviously, the big deciding factor.
0 touchdowns allowed.
0 touchdowns allowed, courtesy of Smokey Brown, for the one against Gilmore. Obviously,
there's 2 against Gilmore, actually.
Well, which one though? One on.
John Brown was the one.
Did Parker? Get one?
Yeah, probably. I assume.
Yeah, Devontae Parker got one too in that Week 17 game.
Now I will say the one against the Bills. I've watched film on that one play. This guy on YouTube, Brett Coleman, had a great video on it. But even though, sure, you could say it was really more McCourty's fault. Still, it's a touchdown allowed for Gilmore. So I think. Obviously, with the touchdowns that Gilmore got, the pick sixes, I think that, sure, you can say Trey White has none. But I think overall, in terms of true cornerback defensive stats, I think Trey White had the better stats.
And
especially,
I understand, there's always the argument against him, he's in the zone defense. It's easier to play. It's a lot harder to play man-to-man, too. But I mean, it's part of the system. The stats show. Honestly, Stephon Gilmore. We can argue this all day. Everyone's gonna have different opinions on it. I'm not gonna change your mind if you think Gilmore's better right now. That's just, especially being a New England fan and me being a Bills fan. But that zone. I don't like that zone argument just because. 0 touchdowns allowed.
That's the job of the coaches to get the players to do good in the system. That's
2 forced fumbles, 6
Obviously, we made a lot of this, our defensive concepts around Trey White and his skill set. So as much as you can say that's not the player, that's the coaching staff. And obviously, I'm not questioning that Belichick is a great coach and his defense is his specialty. But, I mean, I think that Trey White shines in where he is, and I think that we can ignore the fact that, the zone arguments. I don't like those arguments as well. And plus, Trey White only being 25 and early 25. He's not even close to 26. He's not going to be 26 at the beginning of the season. Let's just listen to your opinions, on Trey White versus Gilmore.
My favorite moment of Tre'Davious White's was it when he went on the player introduction and said Trey White Golding account.
I have a shirt of that, dude. I wish I have my shirt right in my background right now. I could pull out that shirt.
Nah, but in my opinion, obviously the biased Patriots fans will say, "Oh, Gilmore's obviously the best." But for me, I'm a realistic one. I think it's very even. I'd be okay with saying that.
I can't sit here and argue. White is way better. I'm not going to do that.
Trust me. We play you guys 2 times a year, and I've seen Tre'Davious White play. He his reaction and just the way he just sees the field and the way he just sees everything his receiver does, it's just outstanding. It's one of the best cornerbacks I've ever seen in a while. Like, in my opinion, since being a Patriots fan, it's probably one of the best cornerbacks since prime Darrelle Revis. Because I personally think that relates to him a lot. I think that he has a lot of those values in him where you are not getting past me. Like, Revis Island might turn into Goldie Island if we're not careful when it comes to that. But he's definitely a really good player. But and obviously you can make the argument. Well, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Shut up.
The Bills were one of my favorite teams to look at, actually, because I watched them play, and I just, first of all, because Josh Allen can throw a football field with his eyes closed, and just, it's ridiculous. He's obviously one of my favorite quarterbacks coming up. Obviously Devin Singletary and Zay Jones, but when it comes to that quarterback position, it's definitely even with that. But obviously you can make the argument, Tre'Davious White was the only cornerback, or you can also make the argument, well, it's Bill Belichick's system. He always makes people look good. Just look at someone like Brandon Bolden, or look at someone like Brandon LaFell, who went to a different team and just absolutely sucked. It's the system. It's the quote unquote Patriot way. That's
that's gonna happen with all, like Nick Foles, for instance. Like, he was just not, the Jaguar system was just not for him.
And also, remember, Nick Foles played for the Eagles before he won the Super Bowl. Like, he played, I don't know what team he got traded to, but when he got drafted, I think he got drafted to the Eagles. Am I correct about that? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and he did play.
Yeah. Went to the Rams.
He had a playoff experience, too.
Yeah.
2013, 27 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Ridiculous. That was his stat line. So...
yeah, I think every player is better in the system of their choice, especially when you've been playing it your whole career. I don't think that takes out of how good of a player you are. I mean, some players can adapt, some can't, but I still think Nick Foles, he's the Super Bowl MVP. I'm not saying he's elite, but he can win a Super Bowl if you need him to.
Yeah, the only argument I could probably make for that is people saying Nick Foles is better than Carson Wentz, and I really want to rip out my eyeballs. Yeah, because that's the most ridiculous argument.
Yeah, I think. This is a bit off topic, but I mean, I like seeing Carson Wentz play, but I don't think he's gonna make it in the league any further. Like, this is completely off topic, but he's made of glass. He's literally made of glass.
Yeah.
I don't see him playing in the league much longer if he's gonna die every single 3 weeks.
With Carson Wentz, he has that gunslinger mentality to him. So when he was going off that MVP season, right before, he tore his ACL going in for that touchdown against the Rams, he was just very careless with his body. He was running all over the place. He was basically trying to be a Deshaun Watson, do everything just to make the play work. And obviously, in the end, it definitely affected him. And
we see that happen with Josh Allen, where he feels like he needs to make these big moves. For example, I mean, that one lateral play in the playoffs where he just whipped it behind him, oh shit, somebody's got to pick it up. Like I think that's a common a common fault. But it's also can be used to your advantage in some, moments. So I think that's a big argument to make because, it can help and hurt you at the same time. You got to find a kind of a, I don't know what to say here. It's kind of like a good mix of the situation where he'll go for plays that are sometimes dumb, but at the same time, if it works out, which most of the time I think for quarterbacks that do have that mentality, it usually does work out.
That's what arrogance gets him.
Yeah, because same thing. You could argue the same thing happened to Michael Vick. Obviously, disregarding prison, he had a very major injury when he was with the Falcons, and then when he came back to the Eagles, and then Andy Reid put him in the right system where all of a sudden you're looking at someone who can throw the ball and like ridiculously good, but also you could see someone that who can run when needs to, but like is smart about it. That's why I'm afraid for people like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, because they have so much talent that sometimes they think of their talent too much. That's what I'm afraid of, because I think we're going to have another Carson Wentz situation, because Carson Wentz should be a top 3 quarterback in the league right now with how he was thought of in the NFL drafts back in 2015, and also Jared Goff is in that class, but we know about him.
He plays like an 80-year-old. I hate watching him. He is horrible to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty boring.
But
I think like that affects. I feel like with Josh Allen, like his body type and size and strength, it's a little bit less of an issue. Like he still can't be like hurdling people.
That was
that's
cool,
a little dangerous.
But at the same time, we don't want to see too much of that. You don't want to see the quarterback doing that.
Like I understand, like he can make plays that nobody else can, but I would still like his body, like the strength he has, the size he has. He's less likely to get hurt than like Lamar Jackson. Like if someone actually ends up catching him and tackling him hard, which eventually that'll happen. But
especially with what Lamar
he's
does,
still in
like,
the same boat,
in terms
but
of juking,
I'm a little
things
more
like that.
confident.
Because when you juke and like you're putting a lot of stress on your ankle, so if somebody tackles you in the wrong way, well, you just tore your ACL or MCL or Achilles, and you're done for a long time.
You could argue that's the reason Gronk retired so early, just because he was such a big he put his body over strength, and he tried to fight for every yard that he played for, and then all of a sudden people were like, just take out his legs, and it worked.
And you're seeing that in more of a newer NFL where players, especially wide receivers and running backs, you'll see where once they catch the ball, if they know, well, odds are I'm not going to get any more yards out of this, they'll just go out of bounds to save their bodies. And I think as much as like, they could have done some insane Lamar Jackson type juke and got around them, I think I like seeing that they're trying to save their bodies.
That's why I feel bad for people like Todd Gurley, because you look at him and he's such a great person, but because he fought for all those yards and he had that insane campaign right before the Super Bowl run, it did a wear and tear on his knees. If he even went out of bounds half the times, he had the chance to, instead of trucking
his
fight
knee
yards.
Injuries were a thing in college. He's had that for a long time. It just flared up in the 2018 campaign.
But even still, you have to be careful about that.
He could have taken better care. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
he could have taken better care. But obviously, the Rams tried their best with that. They only gave him, I believe, 200 snaps. They gave, Darrell Henderson and C.J. Anderson some snaps when they could have given it to Todd Gurley. So they were, so they knew that the running back position was going to be iffy. But luckily, they were helping with that. But obviously, it didn't work out. I think he's actually going to have a really good campaign with the Falcons. Personally, I think he's going to do really well, especially with a lineman like Alex Mack and Jake Matthews. But that's still up for debate, only because we don't know how bad the situation is there. It's really up in the air for that.
Yeah. I'd like to quickly get back on. We kind of got off topic.
Yeah, we should start.
Quickly,
we got off track. Let's go.
With corners, I think that we can label that as even. I think I'd be fine with that. I think everyone would be fine with that. Pretty even corners. I think we're all good.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
The last position I want to talk about is safeties. I think that we have the better safety. I think we have one of the best safety duos in the league.
I think we do have the best.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely agree with that, because Jordan Poyer by himself is one of the best safeties in the league. I think someone I know, it might have been you or someone else, they posted something like
the stats between him and Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, the stats between him and Tyrann Mathieu, literally everything better than Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, he doesn't get talked about enough.
He's very underrated. He's definitely one of my favorite safeties in the league. He's up there with Tyrann Mathieu, but obviously Tyrann Mathieu.
like with how hot Rachel Bush is, that like he doesn't get some clout from that too. I'm really confused, honestly.
I am too,
Like he's a
honestly.
great player. He's got the stats.
And he's
got a hot
the
wife.
wife, yeah.
And he's on the Buffalo Bills, so he doesn't get talked about.
Which honestly,
what
it
it
goes
is.
to our advantage. I mean, we signed him for what, $3 million contract? I think it was. It was cheap, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that was he definitely deserves more, but
yeah. If
he's for the process.
how much is Tyrann Mathieu being paid?
a lot more than that. You can't
Yeah.
I think it's in the tens, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that I would give the edge to the Bills there, especially with the McCourty, Devin McCourty. You know, he's getting older. I mean,
Yeah.
like I was saying earlier about that one where John Brown burned Gilmore. It wasn't even really Gilmore's fault, if I'm being honest. It was actually McCourty's, because McCourty took his eyes off of Brown, and he should have been dropping back with him, but instead he moved up.
It was a
to the other
miscommunication.
side. It was bad communication and bad read.
It was both on fault, I would say.
Yeah, for
Well, Gilmore. Okay, so Gilmore's strength is getting basically he can pre-cut. Like his job on that one play where John Brown got that touchdown and burned him was he was supposed to cut and just dart outside. That was his goal. And if John Brown stayed inside, which he did, because he gave that little fake and then that made Gilmore dart outside, McCourty was supposed to drop back with him and be on that coverage. But because he missed that coverage, then, it was a different story, and, you got Gilmore's first touchdown a lot of the season.
Yeah, that's probably one of the off-season signings I definitely hated, only because of the amount of years he got and how old he is. Obviously, we know the difference with Devin McCourty. He's getting up there in age, but he's still a fan favorite to me. He's still one of my favorite players, only because he's one of those people that have that dog mentality that can just rally everyone around him. That's probably the reason they kept him around, because he's one, a fan favorite, and two, he's one of those people that can push everyone to do 110% on that defense. Because at his pregame speeches, if that doesn't explain enough of what he does, he's definitely one of the most inspirational safeties in the league, just because of the amount of energy he has all the time. Especially, and I think the reason that they kept him is because they first kept Jason McCourty, the cornerback that they got from the Browns. And I think once they signed Jason McCourty, I think it was almost certain that they were going to get Devin McCourty back, because that's a brother. That's the J&D connection. You really can't separate that. And it just reminds me of the one play that will always stick in my mind, even if we fall off a cliff, which I'm expecting, is during the Super Bowl 53 when Brandon Cooks was wide open in the end zone, and then Jason McCourty just comes out of nowhere, RKO's Brandon Cooks. I don't even know, that was ridiculous athleticism by him. But definitely, obviously, I would prefer that we probably go after a safety probably in the first round. Obviously, if for my mock draft, when we did the mock draft with Always Sports, one person I said that we could pick is Grant Delpit. He's a safety from LSU, and I think he's actually one of the best safeties I've ever seen in a while, just because of his playmaking ability on that defensive side and his ball hawking skills to be able to single out one guy and just eliminate him from the field.
Yeah. I see, obviously, there's I like how unbiased you are, honestly, and how you're seeing the situation as it is, because I feel like most Patriots fans would be like, we have McCourty, we're better. But I like how you see the actual entire situation, and I think as of now, I think that you guys have a lot of improvements to make, especially, around that offense, and, you've lost some defensive parts. But for now, obviously, we are the better team. I think we right now have the better safety with that Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer duo. I can't wait. I mean, as much as I'm trying to be fair, but I just this is the first time in my lifetime where the Bills are the best team in the AFC East. It's just awesome for me. It's a fan.
It's just
Yeah.
I mean, this is
You're just used to it, but
like
no,
it means a lot.
yeah, because if I'm being real, I was born in 2000, and basically I've only known Tom Brady, so to go from Tom Brady and Matt Castle to Jarrett Stidham, it's gonna be tough to
see a guy
Yeah.
besides Brady in the back, there, and it's honestly gonna be tough for us as well. I mean, it's like I forgot who said it was on. Somebody on Good Morning Football. It's like saying how it's like the Bills can't get closure, now, like with Brady
we couldn't
on the
freaking beat him.
Patriots.
I was so mad.
Now it's just wide open game for you guys. You have
Oh yeah, I saw this one thing.
probably
It
the
was
best bet.
yeah. There's so many memes about how like the Bills, once they've realized they already won the division, like obviously nothing's sure. That's why we play the games, but it's almost sure. But yeah, I personally would like to quickly go over what we see in the division. Two divisional fan bases. What do you guys see divisional marks as? Obviously, Bills being next. I could see the Dolphins being like a good 7-9, maybe even 8-8.
Especially with the signings they got with Byron Jones and Kyle Van Noy.
I mean, they went 5-11 with that garbage team where they gave away all their players. So
Brian Flores is underrated. I've told you guys. I've told people I know when Brian Flores went to Dolphins, I'm like, don't be surprised if they don't go 0-16. Don't be surprised if they start to be competitive, because Brian Flores, I think, is the one Patriot coach that can actually break the mold of like the Bill O'Briens and the Matt Patricias, where it's just horrible. But I think Brian Flores is going to be good for years to come. Depending on who they go, in my opinion, I think they should go for Tua Tagovailoa. I think that's probably their best bet, and then probably just get some offensive line help, because obviously they don't have much there. But obviously with the amount of picks they got when trading all their players and saying, all right, we're going into rebuilding mode. Obviously, they wanted Joe Burrow. Obviously, it did not work. But obviously, to see what I'm excited to see what the Dolphins do in the draft.
Next up for in the third in the division, honestly, I have had so many arguments with Jets fans. They are the most ignorant people. They are so hard to argue with.
Everyone in the East can agree that Jets fans are the worst fan base in football.
Yeah,
I agree. Who wants to be a Jets fan?
They talk so much smack. And they went 7-9, and they talk smack. Like, I can't imagine if they went 12-4, what it would be like.
At one point, they were 3-9. They had to win the last 4 games to even get to that 7-9 point. Their season was already lost. So
yeah.
And they're
They
still.
lost to the Bengals.
they lost.
They
to
lost to
the
the Bengals.
How
do you do that?
They just talk so much shit. Like, oh,
I know, it's really
Allen
funny.
sucks. Like, shut up. Like, Darnold hasn't proven anything.
Honestly, even because Bill Belichick is your coach, I could see you guys finishing ahead of the Jets. Honestly, I just see failure in the Jets, especially with Adam
Gase
staying
is
their
bad coach. Very bad coach.
Yeah, I could see you guys still finishing ahead of him, depending on how you guys, how the Patriots decide to continue with their season. If they're just gonna kind of like, fly under, get a better
Adam
draft
Gase
pick.
proven he held Tannehill back. He's probably holding Darnold back too. I'm sure he'd be better with the actual coach. Like, I just can't stand the Jets. Everything about him.
No, people say that. I personally believe that Adam Gase is the worst coach in the NFL right now. I personally, over Freddie Kitchens, because he underperforms so much. It's
like Le'Veon Bell. Like, how do you not use him? Like,
you
more?
had Robbie Anderson last year, and he had.
Yeah, they're complaining about the receiving core. Like, why don't you get the receivers the ball? Like, it's not like they had that many drops compared to like Josh Allen's rookie year. He had the most. Even last year, he had a lot of drops, and like that's not preventing us from being successful. Like, Allen was 5-6 his rookie year with the worst receiving core in the league. Sorry, I can't talk right now. Robert Foster was our number 1, if you even know who that is. Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh,
he was a healthy scratch. Yeah, he stinks. Like, They can't be complaining. Like, they can't be complaining. They have
You
nothing
have
to complain
Crowder
about.
and Robbie Anderson. Like, I mean,
Like, it's not good.
that's not insane, but
I've
it's not
seen
bad.
a lot worse.
Yeah.
No, they got rid of Anderson.
I've seen a lot worse. I'm
Yeah.
fired up right now, but like the Jets fans just get me going.
And yeah, especially because they lost Robbie Anderson. I mean, I can only see what were there any offensive? What did they do in the offseason? I don't.
No
even
one
know.
knows. No one.
They signed more backup linemen.
They got Rashad
As
Perriman.
much as the Pats
they
didn't
got
do
rid
much,
of their
like,
old
there's a
linemen.
reason why they didn't do much. But the Jets, why?
Like the half the cap
Yeah,
space.
Yeah.
I said in the group, and I said this specifically. I said the Jets, in my opinion, have the best chance of going 0-16, just because of the amount of just nothing they are. They
No
have like
one
no
wants to go to the Jets. Why are Jets fans
Yeah,
still
honestly, I
talking
think they tried to do stuff in free agency. I just like
nobody
they don't
wants
want to play
I
for
don't think
Gase.
I couldn't
Like,
imagine
Gase
if
literally
anyone wants to go there.
complains. Like, he's such a bad leader. Like, I don't want to like say things that aren't true, but I'm pretty sure like he was like putting down some of his
He was
players,
putting
making
down
excuses.
Le'Veon Bell every week towards the end of the season. He would just, well, we have him for another 3 years lockdown contract. Like, that's not how you win over a locker room, by being negative and saying, well, we lost because our players are shit. You can't
His
say
first
that.
move as an executive was to fire the GM and become the GM.
Yeah.
Like, only Bill O'Brien would think of something that dumb just because of that situation. And he just traded, in my opinion, a top 3 receiver to one of the best young cores and Larry Fitzgerald. So
For basically a bad contract.
for basically a bag of chips and a Coke. I
Actually,
don't know.
they probably no, because think of this: they had lost that. They even if the guys they got, David Johnson, odds are he's not going to be able to play too well. They have to absorb his $10 million contract, which is basically what Hopkins was getting. So, and they traded 4th round picks and got a second.
Yeah, and if that's true that Bill O'Brien compared DeAndre Hopkins to Aaron Hernandez,
then that's actually like screwed up.
That's
like,
literally, I don't know how he's still in the league. I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
who makes that assumption and just says, "Oh yeah, that's perfect." That's accurate.
I can't wait for a rematch.
Aaron Hernandez, like, obviously you can make like as fans we can make jokes about, but like in terms of actually talking, like Aaron Hernandez is off limits. You basically can't talk about him. Like there was an interview with Gronk, like a couple. Like 5 years, or like right after this whole Aaron Hernandez thing happened, where an interviewer was like pressuring Gronk to answer about Aaron Hernandez, and Gronk would just not. It's off limits. You don't talk about it. And the fact that obviously these are rumors, but if he actually did compare him to Aaron Hernandez, then that's grounds. In my opinion, that's grounds for firing, especially because he just traded that. So,
because in my opinion, that's the same thing. If you guys watch WWE, that's the same thing WWE did. They obviously at the beginning of Aaron Hernandez thing, obviously what happened, and then they saw the gun and they're like, "Oh, that's what happened." Like how is Bill O'Brien in the league? I
wouldn't make him. I wouldn't make him a ball boy, let alone my head coach and GM.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's only done bad.
Was it straight up the Johnson for Hopkins?
Yeah, and
they traded 4ths and they got a second.
Oh my god!
I don't know. Maybe they know something.
Round picks,
I don't know.
That 4th round pick that they traded. Oh my god, that's their franchise right there.
No, and then they signed Randall Cobb, who's going to replace Hopkins with ease.
They basically took themselves out of the playoffs in one
trade. And now
maybe Hopkins did something.
Watson,
I don't know.
We have Deshaun Watson in the Carson Wentz situation now, where literally he has no receivers. He has to do everything himself, and the only thing he
barely has a line now. I mean, even with Laremy Tunsil, he was still getting sacked and everyone was getting through.
Oh my god! Like, one thing I just can't wrap my head around: you trade a first for Stephon Diggs, and the Arizona Cardinals only had to give you a second. Like,
that's why it was like the trade when people were talking about the Stephon Diggs trade. It was like they were kind of talking down about it. And the reason why is because it was actually a fair trade for both teams. But when you have just 10 hours before the trade, like DeAndre Hopkins being traded for a lampshade, like, of course, it's going to look like a bad trade.
Like, if I'm a GM of a team and I'm like, okay, I want to try and trade for DeAndre Hopkins and he's on the market.
Vincent doesn't talk at all.
I wouldn't even offer that. I knew
minimum 2 first-round picks. Minimum. There's no doubt about it. There's a minimum needed of 2 first-round picks. I
wouldn't even try to offer like that trade that they did. So Bill O'Brien had to have offered to do that.
No.
Like, there's no way I'm the Cardinals GM just thinking, all right, let's see if they'll take this.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think the Cardinals
not fantasy football here.
No,
I was thinking like a first and a third, and maybe a player too, like for Hopkins. I was thinking
maybe like a halfway decent player, like not just some random person.
David Johnson, a first and a third.
Even with David Johnson, I wouldn't want to absorb his contract. You're absorbing the contract of DeAndre Hopkins.
For a guy that's hurt and can't produce because of it.
Let me just trade for a corpse of a running back that was good 3 years ago. A second-round pick and that's it. And we give away, first of all, Watson's security blanket, and 2, possibly, if Julio Jones wasn't in the league, I would argue best wide receiver in football right now. And being one of the youngest people at like 27, he's entering his prime. And you've traded him for a bag?
Yeah. I was upset after that.
As a Patriots fan, I hurt when Bill O'Brien made that trade. I'm like, you're just making us look bad.
Yeah, you're making their league look bad because, I mean, the Cardinals look like Super Bowl contenders, honestly.
The NFC West is immediately improved as probably one of the best divisions. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
NFC West
Seahawks,
and NFC
49ers. The Rams are still kind of screwed because they're kind of done.
I personally think I think they're going to trade Brandon Cooks. I personally think.
No, I'm just meaning the fact that like they don't have that much draft capital. They don't have enough cap. They kind of went for it all in 2018, and now they're kind of screwed because they didn't win a Super Bowl.
And it ended a Stephon Gilmore interception.
Yes, it did.
Well, time-wise, we should get wrap it up with some conclusion questions here. I don't know if any of you guys got any.
I actually gotta go soon. So, Yo, thank you so much for joining us. Well, we should actually do some more like conversations with you in the future because you seem to know a lot.
I would definitely be down. Actually, real quick, it's like literally a 2-second question. Just give me one team. Cam Newton, where does he go?
I've actually been thinking about this a lot. I don't know. He might.
Yeah.
I remember back in before the season even ended when Cam Newton was going through his injury thing, where he had his shoulder, he had his hand, he had his foot. They stopped like healing or like they stopped doing therapy for all of his other injuries because his foot injury was getting worse and worse. And the fact that the Patriots asked for his like medical things and then the talks about him going to the Patriots just completely stopped. I mean, I think it's something. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna be a starter ever again. But
I'm gonna say
where he's gonna go. He might go to the Chargers.
The draft. I'm gonna say if the draft doesn't work out,
a cheap signing for the Chargers to compete with Tyrod Taylor because I know they're saying
the quarterback they want in the draft. Then
Chargers want Herbert.
Chargers want Herbert, but they're saying that Tyrod is gonna be their current starter.
The Chargers shut down. People saying like Cam Newton wouldn't go there. Like Tyrod's our quarterback. I'm like, okay, yeah, Tyrod's our quarterback.
Yeah, he was really good.
But the three teams I think are still in the race.
Right.
Even if they say they don't want to, I'd probably say Chargers, Broncos, and possibly. Possibly Patriots. Possibly. I wanted to say so, but I didn't want to. But that's also, or if the Dolphins draft back, you never know. Maybe they want to get a lower round quarterback. I don't think because it's Tua. I don't think they will, but it's good to fantasize.
Yeah, yeah.
Newton in Miami.
Would you be happy with that? Like, if you guys got Newton, like, what would your opinions be on that? I don't think I would. If I was in your situation and I saw Cam Newton, I'd be like, I think this might be a waste of money. Like,
I personally,
because of how bad his foot injury seemed to be going.
I personally think I'm on the tank for Trevor train. I think that's the direction we're going, and I think that Belichick.
That's what I think too.
Belichick trusted him enough that we're just going to ride the wave when it comes to that.
I also heard you guys might look at Deshaun Watson next year for free agency. I've seen
I don't think that's gonna
that's
happen.
way too early to talk
Way
about
too
that.
early
Like,
to talk
there's
about
not
that.
even a point.
Please. I'm praying.
Like, he's probably going to re-sign in the first place, and we shouldn't even talk about it. It's too far away.
Yeah, that's too far away. But definitely
Like
some
that,
future conversations
don't even
we
wanna.
had with you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. But yeah, we'll talk to you in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Good to have you on.